Chapter 8. Big Trouble. What are we going to do? Zach asked. We watched the car drive away. I can't believe we lost the president. At least we know he's headed to the theater, Jacob said. Looking at the bright side. And we know school kids are going to see the show, Bo added. And we know that woman thought he was an actor named Bob, I said. And she thought he was in costume, Jacob held up 4 fingers. That's a lot of clues. We've got nothing, Zach sighed so hard his lips rattled. We have no idea where he went. Even if we knew which theater. We don't have a car. He pulled his pockets inside out. And we have no money for a bus. Bus, I said. That gives me an idea. The teacher and her students were coming down the memorial steps. I hurried over to her. Did you come here on a school bus? I asked. Yes, she said slowly. Looking at me funny. I guess I should have introduced myself first. But I was anxious to see if I was right. Are you going to a play today? Yes, she answered. She squinted her eyes at me. Is the play about Abraham Lincoln? I asked. Yes, she said. And before she could say anything else, I asked, is there an actor named Bob in the show? Wow, she said. You sure have a lot of questions. I'm just curious, I replied. But now I knew these school kids were going to the right theater. Her school bus was parked near the bottom of the memorial steps. I looked over at the bus. Can we go with you to the show? She thought about it a minute and then said, I guess so. We were hot on the president's trail. But when we got to the theater, Bo didn't look good. His face was pale and kind of a pasty green color. What's up, Bo? I asked. Are you bus sick? He didn't speak. He just pointed up at the theater's sign. Jacob read it aloud. Ford's Theater. And in case we didn't hear Jacob read it, Zach read the sign again. Bo swayed as if he were going to faint. Killed, he mumbled. I shrugged. I had no idea what he was talking about. Shot, Bo muttered again. Then he said, Ford's Theater. And, balcony. Jacob was the one who put it all together. Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. He was shot during his second term as president by an actor during a play. He looked at Bo. Are you positive that Abraham Lincoln was killed in the balcony of this theater? Quote. Bo simply nodded. His knees weakened. He began to sink to the sidewalk. Jacob grabbed Bo's arm to keep him from falling. Look, he said, as much as we might want to, we can't do anything about the fact that he is going to be shot. We aren't supposed to change history. Our job is just to keep it on track. If we try to save him, we'll make a bigger mess of history. The whole world would change. We all felt sad. We wished we could save his life. But there was no way. Zach grabbed him and yanked him up. Snap out of it. Zach shook Bo's shoulders. He was killed in his own time. Not ours. He's not going to be killed today.
Zach looked at the long line of students shuffling into the playhouse and added, unless he's such a bad actor that these kids throw rotten fruit. And hit him in the eye. And he gets a concussion. And his brain begins to bleed. And dash. We get the point, Zach, Jacob interrupted. He looked at the watch. We better go. We don't have much time left. Bo took a deep breath and shook out his legs. He didn't look so green anymore. Thanks, guys, he said softly. Let's focus on getting him to issue the Emancipation Proclamation, I suggested. And off we went. We hoped to find Abraham Lincoln before the show started. But we were too late. When we went inside, the theater was dark. The play had already begun. Abraham Lincoln was standing on the stage. He sat down in a rocking chair under a bright spotlight. We began to sneak down the aisle toward the front. I am Abraham Lincoln, he began. He wasn't really an actor, so he had a script in his hands. He read, in my younger days, I did not want to be president. Still doesn't, I whispered to Jacob. A lady gave me an evil look and said, "Shoo." I almost blurted out, "Hey, lady, get your money back. This play is going to be over in a minute." But instead, I held my tongue and crept closer to the stage. Abraham Lincoln held the script up to the light. He was reading very carefully. I tried to be a storekeeper. My business failed. I wanted to be a farmer. My crops dried up. Jacob took the computer out of his pocket. We were going to snag him right after he finished read ing. We didn't even care that there was a crowd. Hopefully, they'd just think his disappearance was part of the play. His voice got louder as he continued. I wanted to be a politician. In 1832, I ran for legislature. And lost. When I wanted to go to Congress, I lost. I ran for Senate and lost that election too. Abraham Lincoln stood up and angrily threw the script on the floor. All I ever wanted to do was to make a difference. He lowered his head. And I have failed at that, too. I jumped up on the stage. No. I shouted. You are a quitter. There is still time. A huge burly man came out of a side curtain. I saw him reach for me. I ducked. He missed me by a mile. The boys leaped up on the stage. Zach wrapped his arms around President Lincoln's leg. President Lincoln shook his leg and demanded he get off. Zach refused to let go. People were coming at us from all sides. Security guards came from the wings. Kids jumped up on the stage from the audience. Teachers chased after their students. The stage was crowded with people running around and shouting. Zach was still hanging on to President Lincoln's leg. Hurry, he called to Jacob. I've got him. Put in the cartridge. Jacob surveyed the scene. No way, he called back. There are too many people. A security guard caught my shirt. I broke free and ran. Quiet. Abraham Lincoln's voice boomed throughout the theater. I froze. The security guard chasing me froze. No one dared make a sound. Thank you, President Lincoln said, his voice strong and determined. He looked down at Zach with piercing eyes. Zach let go of the president's leg. He turned to me. Tell me again, he demanded. What did you say earlier? I swear if he had laser beams for eyes, I'd be a melted mess. I took a deep breath and looked him right in the face. You are a quitter. I answered loudly. My voice echoed in the silent theater. A little twinkle suddenly gleamed in the president's eye. He bent low and picked the script up off the ground. He read quickly, flipping through the first few pages. Abraham Lincoln stood up straight. You are correct. I may have failed many times in my life. But I have never quit. No one moved as he walked across the stage. He handed the script back to the woman with the car. But, Bob Dash, the woman stuttered, what about the play? I am Abraham Lincoln, he corrected her. And my country needs me. Then he turned to Bo, Zach, Jacob, and me. He just looked at us. We didn't need words to understand what he meant. He wanted us to follow him. Abraham Lincoln led us through the theater and out the front door. It is time to issue the Emancipation Proclamation and free the slaves, he announced. But what about the war? Zach asked, aren't you going to wait for a Northern victory? Abraham Lincoln didn't answer right away. He was distracted by something near the roof. He pointed up. Above the theater door was an American flag. He looked puzzled. There are 50 stars, Bo said, finding his voice at long last. One for each state in the Union. 50 states, Abraham Lincoln repeated. He shook his head and grinned. That reminds me of a joke, he said. But we don't have time for jokes. I have to free the Southern slaves. We walked around the back of the building and Jacob slipped the cartridge into the computer. The time travel hole opened. Glowing green smoke spilled over the pavement. President Abraham Lincoln jumped in first. Bo, Jacob, Zach, and I held hands and followed him home.